Copyright and Fair Use. This presentation was originally written in 1997 by Dr. Larry Tomei, and it was updated in 2007 by Dr. Chris Davis. The intent of copyright here is spelled out by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and basically it's used to promote the progress of science and useful art. And really, it's in place to protect works of original authorship. The origin of copyright and fair use is Title 17 of the United States Code. So if you'd like to read the full text, just go on the internet and Google Title 17 U.S. Code, and you'll be able to find the complete copyright laws in the United States as well as the fair use laws. So copyright grants what's called exclusive rights, and exclusive rights grants to the copyright holder the right to reproduce or copy, produce derivative works, distribute copies, perform the work publicly, and display the work publicly. The second point, to produce a derivative work, basically what that means is that you can take and make something else associated with the original work. For example, the Star Wars movies by George Lucas. There are tons of books out there based on George Lucas's Star Wars trilogy and the second trilogy. However, they use parts of Lucas's plot, storyline, characters, places, names, which are all copyrighted. So when somebody creates one of these books, before it can be published, they have to get permission from George Lucas to be able to publish this book, because he has the rights to produce derivative works or grant the right to produce derivative works. Additional rights of copyright: you can claim authorship of the work, prevent the use of your name with a distorted version of the work, or prevent destruction of the work. This is mainly in terms of sculptures, paintings, photographs, things like that. So what is copyrightable? A lot of things are copyrightable. Literary works, musical works, computer software, emails, sound recordings. Now this is not a complete and all-encompassing list, but I did the best I could to list as many things there as might appear in one of your classrooms. What is not copyrightable? Ideas or concepts, lists that show no originality, factual information, and titles and short phrases. So lists, I can't write down a list of the 50 states and copyright it. Okay, but I could take a list of the 50 states, associate information with it, pictures, state mottos, flags, things like that, and get that book copyrighted because that shows originality. Factual information, as you can see from the picture there, 2 + 2 = 4. I can't copyright that, it's a fact. So nobody can ever copyright math because it's a fact. Titles and short phrases are not copyrightable, however they are trademarkable, which is different. Copyright lasts... or copyright never needs to be renewed. A trademark needs to be renewed from time to time. Features of protection of copyright. Copyright protection begins at the time the work is fixed or created in fixed form. So when it's typed out, sent in an email, saved as a Word document, something like that, that's when the copyright goes into effect. Copyright is immediate, and it becomes assigned to the author who created the work. And the duration of copyright is 75 years from the time of publication, the life of the author plus 75 years. So, if you live to be, if you're 30 years old right now and you live to be 90, so that's 60 years plus 75 more, your copyright will last 135 years. Protecting your works. Publication and registration is not required for copyright. It's secured automatically when the work is created, and by created, what that means is that it's typed out, it's emailed, it's saved as a Word document, it's sent through mail, something like that to show when it was created. And copies are just that. They're material copies of an original work. Protecting your work. You don't have to use a copyright notice to protect your work anymore. However, it's strongly recommended that you do. It reinforces to the public the fact that this is copyrighted, and you can put a copyright on your web pages as well. If you decide you want to use the copyright, this is how you use it. For things that you're doing on your own, you put the copyright symbol, the year, and your name. For something that you would do for a university or a school district, you put the word copyright, the copyright symbol, the year, and then the name of the institution. How to avoid violating copyright laws? Create your own content, number one. That way you don't have to worry about this. If you can't create your own content, stay within the educational fair use guidelines, which I'll explain here in a moment. Use royalty-free materials, again I'll explain that here in a moment, or public domain materials. If all else fails, get the permission of the copyright holder if one of the first 4 does not work out. And permission from the copyright holder could be as simple as an email. Fair use. Fair use allows for the educational use of resources without obtaining copyright permission. However, there are 4 criteria for fair use: limited access to the resources, limited time of use, limited quantity or portion used, and limited commercial effect to the author. So the first one, limited access to resources. That means that you're using it for your class and your class alone. You're not distributing it to a whole school. Limited time of use. So you're using this for one class, maybe for a semester. You don't intend on using it every single time you teach this course. Limited quantity or portion used. I'll go into more detail on that here in a second. And limited commercial effect to an author. Basically what that means is that by you copying whatever you did, it's not going to cost the author money. So say you copy 3 pages out of a textbook. That's not going to prevent your district from buying these textbooks because you obviously wouldn't buy textbooks for 3 pages. Text. Now these are the limits that you can use. Text is up to 10% or 1,000 words of a work. Now whenever you see 10% or 15% or, it's always the lesser. So 10% or 1,000 words of a work, a poem of less than 250 words, no more than 3 poems by one poet, and no more than 5 poems from an anthology. Illustrations and photographs, no more than 5 from any individual artist, no more than 10% or 15, whichever is less, from a collective work. Link to the image if you can. So always link to the image, and then that way you don't have to worry about copyright issues because you're not hosting it. And then if you can, purchase the image if the price is reasonable. So you can get CDs full of images that you can purchase online that are covered under royalty-free clauses, things like that. Moving images and music, so movies and music, no more than 10% or 3 minutes from a video, no more than 10% or 30 seconds from a piece of music. Permission and online resources. You need to get copyright permission from the copyright holder if any one of these is in question. Not all of them, just any one. Selections larger than what fair use allows. Permanent or recurring uses, so you want to use this all the time, not just this semester or this week. Widely distributed uses, so you want to use it for your entire school or your entire district, or uses with potential commercial impact to the author. So if you're going to be using 4 chapters out of a book, well, obviously that's going to cost the author money because your district probably would purchase the books in that case. Royalty-free and public domain resources. Public domain you can use without permission. These are resources with expired copyrights. A great resource for this is Project Gutenberg online. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books that are in the public domain, which essentially means the copyright has expired on them. Books like anything from Mark Twain and Homer and Ulysses and Nathaniel Hawthorne, books that are, a little older you'll be able to find in the public domain. Also, public domain resources include certain resources owned with public funds. So, for instance, IRS forms, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. These are not copyrighted, so you can reproduce those. Royalty-free, these are what you can use according to license. So these may very well be copyrighted, but you purchase a license to be able to use them, and the license dictates what you can and cannot use these images for. If you want more information about copyright, check out any of these resources, or make sure you post a thread to the threaded discussion below.